Welcome to an Exile. We're going to give you the update on the big, beautiful bill. I've got a whole lot of updates on that. The biggest thing to remember is that it destroys illegal immigrants from coming over here, enables Trump to deport them. That's the biggest part of the bill. It is the biggest part of fulfilling what this last election was about. Here's Matt Gaetz on the big, beautiful bill. He's talking with how it will be able to be changed in the Senate to better address some of Elon Musk and Rand Paul's fiscal concerns that we might be able to increase some of the spending cuts.
Do you think that there is progress being made in the Senate to get the votes to pass this bill, or are you anticipating that the Senate will make some revision and send it back to the House?
Well, I would say that, from the House perspective, or at least my perspective, it's big. It's not quite beautiful yet. And so maybe this is the opportunity. With Elon coming out criticizing the bill, maybe we'll see some of the senators make some changes, make some additional cuts, and then likely it'll pass, and then it comes back to us. Now, that'll put a few of my House colleagues in a box, but at the end of the day, that's what we promised the American people. And, right now, there doesn't seem to be quite a consensus forming in the Senate as what the direction is going to be. So I think it's kind of, what I'll say is Elon, I think, reset the conversation with his most recent tweets, for better or worse. But again, I think the Mike Lees and some of the more conservative senators, that emboldens them to try to get more, again, make it truly big and beautiful, not just big. Because right now it's rather large. But I think there's the opportunity for them to improve the bill, to make some additional cuts. You'll see some of those more conservative senators come online, and then, of course, the House votes on it. But like you said, I don't know that the votes are there if it were to be voted on today.
This is very interesting to me because it shows Elon's influence on the big, beautiful bill. It strengthened the case against it, whether if we agree with it or not. He influenced history, and it put a little more strength behind the fiscal conservatives that want to go in and increase the cuts. So we're going to talk about the fallout and influence of how a few tweets from Elon Musk affected our country's history. And right now, I just want to check on where is the majority in the Senate going. He says it's wide open, Ogles. He said it's wide open now, so it's in flux. It's moving right now, and we haven't seen where a majority is congealing. I'm going to go into a lot of this, but here's Laura Ingraham warning about the dangerous people that are here.
The serious fact about this is this individual acted out of a complete animus toward a certain group of people based on an ideological viewpoint, which obviously qualifies as a hate crime under U.S. federal law. And now we're going to probably learn more about how he got to that point, whether he came to this country with those views as a tourist during the Biden era, or whether these views were intensified during his time here. The other outstanding question is why he was given a work permit when he was here on an expired visa.
Work permit. They're getting rights. And what can you do about it? They're a massive drain on our whole economy. This is Jack Posobiec on the big, beautiful bill saying how the number one thing to keep track of is when you take illegal aliens off of our Medicare, welfare, education program, we're going to save hundreds of billions of dollars.
This should be called, and rightfully should be called, the big, beautiful deportation bill, because that's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. This is about getting the tools, the resources, and the capabilities to those in power throughout DHS and other elements of the federal government to be able to conduct the mass deportations that won at the ballot box in 2024. And so
this is my argument against Rand Paul. Trump did not win the election based on reducing the debt. So they can talk about raising the debt. They can talk about Trump was against all this fiscal stuff during the Obama years, which Elon reminded us of those tweets yesterday. He and Mike Johnson were against raising the debt. They were against big expenditures. But that's not what Trump ran on. He ran on closing the border and deport illegals. So just the big, beautiful bill alone. That's why Trump really needs a win on this, and I'm rooting for a win. I do hope we're going to go into more about them able to, in the Senate, being able to cut more spending, and then they send it back to the House to get it signed, and that might get more Republicans on board. Here's the rest of Jack Posobiec.
I understand, though, that there are some folks who say, well, wait a minute. What about the debt? What about entitlement programs? When are we going to get some work done on that? And let me walk you through this a little bit, okay? It's a tweet that I posted earlier today because I said, I don't think you're thinking of these mass deportations, a series of tweets that I was posting earlier today, thinking of them in the proper way. And I want to get your mind right on this. What's going on is you are thinking that deporting people isn't related to our federal debt and entitlement crisis because you're only looking at the supply side of the equation. But if you reduce the demand side of the equation, you can reduce the overall expenditures. Mass deportations means fiscal responsibility. And few seem to understand this because if you reduce the amount of people on the entitlement programs, you will reduce the spending on the entitlement programs and further reduce the debt. And I can go through stats. I can go through all day long the reporting out of FAIR, the reporting even back in 2017. Even back in 2017, FAIR was putting out reports saying that illegal aliens, illegal immigration cost Americans on net $116 billion a year. And remember,
that's 2017. Imagine after 11 million more, we've doubled under Biden the number of illegals that could be here.
That's indirect and direct costs through entitlement and welfare programs. What do I mean by that? Well, the children of illegal aliens, guess what? They're eligible for entitlement programs. They're eligible for SNAP. They're eligible for education. They're eligible for health care in many cases. So they get all of those things. And then the parents are eligible through, they're not eligible, but the parents do access these programs through a variety of means, including, fraud. In variety of means, including going and getting a driver's license in places where you're able to get one.
You can get them in California, and the parents do qualify in California. Jack Posobiec brings up very real costs that, remember, he was only quoting 2017 numbers. If it's 150 billion, between 150 and 200 billion back then, that's just what we know of. You double that. Now, at least because Biden, like that first story with Laura Ingraham, they were handing out work visas to basically terrorists. So that it shows how expansive they were handing these work visas out to kind of anchor them into our economy. And so just think of that cost. You're talking about, let's double it from 180 billion. I would go up to about 500 billion. That's $500 billion a year that Trump is trying to save. This bill instantly reverses that. So now you can start to see fiscally, he's talking about reducing the supply side, which helps your economy. Now, who's fighting this? This one is very interesting from Mike Davis, who's one of my favorite Constitution guys on John Roberts. Chief Justice John Roberts is allowing these activist judges to endanger the lives of federal law enforcement agents. This is shameful cowardice and a dereliction of duty by Chief Justice of the United States. What's he talking about? This news item: ICE officers stranded in Djibouti under outrageous conditions after court blocked criminal migrant deportations. How are they blocking it? The ICE officers have to stay with these criminals in Djibouti, and they're not allowing them to remain deported. So they're having to sit there with them. They were trapped on an airplane with them for a while. The judge orders in the DVD case are literally putting ICE agents' lives in danger. He grounded a removal flight in South Sudan that was already over East Africa. And now 3 ICE agents are marooned in Djibouti with 8 criminal migrants under outrageous living conditions and the threat of rocket attacks from Yemen. The illegal aliens these ICE agents are charged with securing, in the meantime, have been convicted of murder, assaulting minors, robbery, and arson. Justice Roberts, in not going in and undermining these activist judges, that's what he has to do, is putting pressure on the Supreme Court to take up this idea that these judges, 600 Democrat federal judges, are trying to act bigger than the president. Meanwhile, what's Trump doing this morning? He's back on message. The failing New York Times and the Washington Compost, two papers that have ruthlessly fought me for years, have each done polls where a vast majority of those sampled are Democrats. In other words, the polls, just like their writings, are rigged. It's not possible for a Republican to do well in such a poll. They're corrupt as hell. The real polls out there have me doing better than ever before, just like Election Day 2024, where I won 7 of the 7 swing states, the popular vote, and districts by 2,700 to 505. I won the election in a landslide. The fake news media is failing our nation at levels never seen before. Make America great again. That's how Trump is dealing with the fallout over Elon last night. Now, here's Jesse Waters with some interesting insight, too, about the whole Twitter war.
My issue is that the media said that Musk was the co-president. He doesn't look like the co-president anymore. The media said Trump was doing favors for Elon Musk. Well, if you look at this big, beautiful bill, there's no favors for Elon Musk in it at all. Now, the big, beautiful bill, now he's got a beef with it. These are the things that Trump ran on and won on. Wall, ice skies so you could do mass deportations, military, F-35 ships, pay raises for the troops, and tax relief for everybody, no tax on tips. These are the things that won him the election. He didn't run on balancing the budget.
Yeah.
So this is the priority right now. You have 4 years to balance the budget. Yeah, there's a lot of pork in this thing. There's always a little pork, all right? But this is not a spending bill. This is the signature piece of Donald Trump's second term. This may be the last major piece of legislation Trump ever passes. Well, he might have 3 terms, but for now.
He might have 3 terms. This might be the last major piece that he passes because the honeymoon will be over after this, is what he's talking about. Now, I want to go to the Tesla stock. This is something interesting to me. I own Tesla stock, just a full disclosure a little bit, but here's what, look at this down here. See this dip down here? Look, that's last night. Tesla stock takes a dump. So this is the last just 5 days. Okay. It's up as high as 350, which is down from its high of about $500 per stock. So it goes from 350 on June 3rd down to 277 last night at 5:30 or 4:30 p.m. And then it's already recovered a little bit just now, up to 298, almost back up to 300. That's a huge percentage, guys. This is a volatile stock. And so not only is Elon Musk affecting the way the big, beautiful bill and the history of what goes in it and what's not affecting the politics, but Elon Musk and the politics are also affecting his own company's stock. I'm very bullish, hardcore on Tesla. Buy the dip. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a comic book idiot doing news for entertainment. But this is, I believe, super long-term in Tesla, that within 5 years, I think it's going to be $1 trillion company. Here's Kevin O'Leary largely agreeing with me about all this stuff. He ain't worried about Elon Musk or Tesla.
Did Elon Musk do damage to Tesla and to shareholders today long term?
You know, if you own Tesla as I do, I'm a shareholder, we're used to volatility. The vol on this stock's insane, and it really is driven by a tweet or whatever. The real issue is, what's the long-term opportunity in this company? If you believe in EV, if you believe in robotics, if you believe in all of the technology this company has in autonomous driving, you stay long the stock. I remind everybody when they talk to me about Tesla, the brand's destroyed, yada, 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 woof, woof, woof. Remember Tylenol? Remember that story? Everybody said there'll never be another bottle of Tylenol on shelves. It's 10 times bigger than that catastrophe. Brands recover. Elon's a unique individual. He's a bombastic person. You've seen this already today in this exchange with Trump. Those are 2 giant egos, and everybody understands what's going on there.
Let me leave you with this. Do you think the relationship ever recovers? Because there's a difference in politics of, we disagree on taxes or tariffs or whatever. But once you go to Jeffrey Epstein, Kevin, that gets personal, and I wonder if this ever comes back.
Now, before he answers that, I want to tell you guys, he mentions the self-driving car, which whether if you like it or not, it's coming. He mentions robotics, whether you like it or not, it's coming. Let me make a case for it to you to help you understand what it means. A self-driving car, which they're going to flat out prove that it's safer than you and I driving around. It's going to explode. They're already doing taxis. It's going to be diesel truck. My brother's a trucker. It's going to obviously change all the jobs in that sector. But I want you to imagine you owning a self-driving car. I despise electric vehicles, okay? So you don't have to even remind me of that. But what Elon Musk is talking about is you will be participating. Every electronic car that is purchased, you buy it and you park it in your garage, and other people could use it, okay? If you set it into a mode where it's basically a small business for you to own, as if you were an Uber driver, but you don't actually drive it. You're sitting at home watching TV and your garage door automatically opens. Someone says, I want to ride to the airport, and your vehicle comes up as closest and next. The vehicle drives out to them, picks them up, drops them off at the airport, and then comes back to your house and parks in the garage for recharging. And you get a cut, you get that money. It's like you lease out your car. Elon Musk has proposed that the self-driving car that you own could pay for its own lease. What does that mean? It means you get a free car if you allow other people to use it. I'm going to give you another scenario, guys. This is not science fiction. The robots that become and imagine owning a fleet of 3 cars, each one of them paying for their own lease. So you drive one, 2 others are rented out. Okay. The robot, which is supposed to cost less than a car, the price tag on them they've said is $30,000 to $50,000. I'm skeptical of that, but that's what they've said. And you'll be leasing those at a car dealership the same. They'll become your personal assistant. They do your chores, do your labor. Hey, get the groceries, clean that up, teach me French. I'm not trying to turn them into human beings. I'm saying as a personal assistant. Imagine this, many of you are elderly and we have those little medical alert devices. If you fell down and you conked your head and you could not call an ambulance, and maybe your auto alert might call if you were conked out. If you had a robot, it could go to you when you're knocked out and give you CPR. It could also call an ambulance on your, in fact, it could pick you up and put you in a self-driving car and drive you to the nearest hospital. If it had to sit there and take care of you while you're knocked out, it could give you the best nursing care that the whole world has available right now in our public knowledge. It could do triage on you and keep you alive. It could do security in your house if someone broke in. It could go take care of them, if you know what I mean. So I'm only saying it could take care of your pets while you're gone, keep them from barking, keep them company. You guys don't understand how big this opportunity is. I'm not talking science fiction. This is reality and it's coming. I know there's a lot of darkness and evil and everyone going like, oh, it's going to change the world and destroy everything. You know me, I believe tools are neutral and it depends on whose hands they're in. So that's an example. Now we're going to get back to the relationship why Kevin O'Leary believes they're going to get back together.
Or they're done.
You know, it's going to come back. I mean,
You think so? Really?
Trump. Yeah, I'll tell you why. I mean, again, this is, watching Trump and meeting with him a few times. This guy's a transactional guy, pragmatic. I don't really shill for politicians. I shill for policy. I've said that countless times. I don't care, I don't care in a tweeting war. It's kind of irrelevant. But if you ask me, will these 2 men meet again and be friends? I would say yes. It's like a marriage. They had a little tiff. They had a bad date. Okay. And now they're going to call each other and say, sorry about that, honey. Let's work it out.
If you've ever had a fight with your spouse, as I have, if you've ever had a fight with a best friend, as I have, you know that when you come back together often, it can be stronger. That's my prayer. That's my hope. Thank you guys for watching. Shout out to the Quad Club. I love you guys. Doug in Exile.